Right, I've got quite a big judder when I engage the clutch. Just as it bites, there's a too much of a judder, so something isn't right, and I'm trying to eliminate things before I take the engine out and look at the clutch. So I've looked at the UJ on the prop, and it was okay, a little bit tiny amount of play, but I don't think that was the issue. I'm putting a new UJ in there. But while it's off, I'm going to try and check the alignment of the engine with the axle. I've got a couple of things I can try and check. I can check the vertical alignment of the flange on the axle and maybe the front of the crank maybe. And I've also got a laser, and I'll try and run a laser under the car to line up with the front of the crank, the back of the gearbox and the front of the axle. Not going to be exact, but it might show something up. So I did have to weld on new engine mounts, although I've measured it up and so on. I think I'm right, but I'll double check it. Right, I held this up against the pulley with like that, and got the bubble level, and then took a reading, and I did it 4 times, and I got 2 at 2.8 and 1 at 2 at 3.1. So it doesn't matter what the number is, as long as the flange on the diff is the same number. So we'll see what that says. I mean, difficult to get to and difficult to measure. That's my best guess, really. Right, this is what I'm getting. So at the back I'm getting 1.5, so about half of that. So I could lift the back of the gearbox up slightly if I think 1.5 degrees is a problem. Easy enough to solve, but I did find that the gearbox rubber is a bit not the best, and I think that might be chattering. So I think at the end of the day that might be my problem. I'm just looking at I've got a laser here at the front of the car. This probably won't show up a bit. Oh, there we are. There's your red line on the pulley. Oops, there's my pen. Middle of the pulley. And going back, we're at the middle of the filler plug, and then going back to the rear axle. Just gonna look at that. That shows up well, doesn't it? Shows up much better on the camera than it does in real life. So that's half a degree out, would be my guess on that, which I'm not worried about that. I'm just going to try and set it up from the back and shine it forward and see what that tells me. See if I can get a reading. I'd like to get a reading right in the back of the gearbox if I can. But that amount of difference, I mean, this gearbox cross member is slotted, and I could actually shove that over. The slots would allow me to move the gearbox over that much to get rid of that little bit of tolerance there. Right, complete darkness now. Let's see what we can see without knocking everything over. So I can't see a damn thing here. Right, so I can get on the camera here. So back to the car now, and we can just see there. That's the tip. That's the flange. That's the the bottom bolt on the diff, and then run through. There's a spirit level at the end, lined up with the centre of the crank as best I can, so the line's going straight up the spirit level, and it's going to crawl under the car a bit more. And after all that, this is what my trouble is, which is this this gearbox mount here. If I push up and down on the back of the gearbox, there's a lot of play in that, and I don't think that's how it should be. It should be holding that firmer. So I'll look into that now. Oh, under the car now, and I've stripped all this down. This is like a rubber and spring mount for the gearbox. I've stripped it all down, put it all back together again, and the play has disappeared. Well, sort of. It's a lot better than it was anyway. And these mounting here for the cross member, I've nudged that over a bit, so I reckon that's perfectly in line now. Although I'm not going to measure it again. And with a bit of luck, that solved my issue, and it's not what I feared, which was clutch trouble. But I'm waiting for a UJ joint for the prop shaft. And I'm wondering whether to get that spun up, because the position's been lost on the spline here. Whether that's going to throw it out much, I don't know.